This video is not going to be like my usual videos. As many of you know, Charlie Kirk was assassinated this week. Um, and although I don't agree with everything he says, I do believe he was doing the right and proper thing, which is to have peaceful, respectful, open dialogue with people you don't agree with. Unfortunately, that is not how the Democrats and the left works. As I have complained over the years, y'all know I'm no big fan of Democrats. I myself am libertarian. I'm not conservative. However, I have found that conservatives I have more in common with than people on the left. I've had friends on both sides of the spectrum, and I will say I'm always more comfortable with my conservative friends than I am with my lefty friends, who I'm worried that if I say the wrong thing, that they'll be triggered and there'll be consequences of some kind. Often that doesn't 100% stop me, but I do find that I police myself a little more around people who identify as Democrats or liberals than I do with conservatives. Conservatives, I feel like I'm able to be more myself. I will start off by saying that my heart goes out to Charlie Kirk and the family that had to watch him get murdered in front of their eyes, and the 3,000 students who were there either to debate him because they didn't agree with him or to support him. Either way, to have the conversation that needs to be had in politics to remain a country. And I myself have not seen the actual moment of impact video, but I've seen every angle of everything up to that point and after that point. I've been fully, updated. As of right now, they're saying that the shooter was, and this is from actual sources in law enforcement and the governor of Utah, that this was a leftist, was not acting alone as of the most recent news I'm hearing. That I haven't confirmed in more than one source yet. But the part that corroborates is that he was sending messages to a trans individual with whom he was in a relationship to go get the weapon after he did what he did. And not to mention the engravings on the bullet, which align with a certain terrorist group that operates out of Portland. The problem I'm having right now is, the act itself was very angering, very upsetting to me. And I know it's the result of radicalization that has been fostered in our institutions and on social media and promoted by left-wing propaganda that has filled the news waves pretty much for the last 10 years, if not longer. Who knows before we had the internet to really police these things. Clearly, there bears some responsibility to these institutions for radicalizing this individual. But if that was all that there was, if that's all I had to see, is just this unhinged, radical individual did something, which is not new. It's particularly, it's just another in a string of these kinds of events lately. I mean, we're right off the heels of the event in North Carolina. Um, you know, and it just continues, along with the other decay of pretty much every Democrat-aligned city. And the constant message of cancel culture and not allowing us to have free speech, not allowing us to have an opinion or speak our mind without risk of ruining our life, or it has now been escalated to violence against people for their speech. And that is a line that's been crossed. So when a large portion of the Democrat Party, now don't get me wrong, there are some who have disavowed what happened and are properly exercising decorum, whether they agreed with Charlie Kirk or not. I still am, I feel like it's not genuine what they're doing, because I've heard these same people wish a lot worse about our president. Not to mention what recently happened just before he took office in Butler, Pennsylvania. Let's not forget that shit, right? Democrats. But seeing the behavior, not just from the TikTokers and the morons that are celebrating this very, very badly in some cases. We're talking wearing shirts with a picture of him being in the process and just overall celebrating and saying things, making a list of who's next and all of that horse shit. The virtue signaling that has gone on top of that enables people to feel safe doing that kind of shit, posting that kind of shit, is all to blame on the Democrat Party. Now, you know me. I believe corporations are the root of all of these problems. They're the ones pulling the strings. And they really are probably thrilled to death that as the economy is beginning to tank, and by the way, it's beginning to tank, and that's from my observations out here as a trucker, they're more than happier than pigs and shit that now we are at each other's throats. And by that I mean the left and the right. But for me personally, I am disgusted with the Democrat Party at this point. Now, I'm not advocating violence or any of that shit. Let me just be clear, because there's algorithms and shit that are worried about that. But what I am saying is I'm done listening to Democrats. I don't care what the fuck you think if you're a Democrat. If you identify as Democrat and you vote Democrat, I don't care what you think. Your opinion means zero to me. You have managed to radicalize someone to take out the last person on earth, I feel like, that's going to listen to you and take you seriously at this point and treat you respectfully while you give your opposing viewpoints. That's gone. I don't want to hear shit. All right? Now, people make fun of when I started being angry at the Democrats during 2020, and we all remember what happened back then. And if you want to go back and, revisit those videos, I welcome you to. I realize just posting this video, there's going to be people who are upset and may unsubscribe or whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm not doing this to become famous or to do it for a living even anymore. I've given up on that. So I don't have any skin in the game in terms of worrying about my channel being deleted or that kind of shit. So I'm going to speak my mind. And I realize that doing so could lead to somebody trying to physically harm me. That's basically the message, isn't it? That's what the terrorists who did this want to convey to us. But I don't care. People try and kill me every day, multiple times a day out here. You'd be fucking amazed at some of the shit I have to deal with out here. So somebody threatening me on the internet isn't exactly in my top things that I worry about. Nor am I. It's not like I'm not experienced with that either in my long time on YouTube. But the fact that I even have to think of that, that's all Democrats. I have never once in my time as a content creator been threatened by a conservative or a right-wing individual. I've had them be pissy with me and make fun of me and tell me to stop whining, and call me a few other colorful things, but never threaten me. Can't say the same for the other side. And it's in my personal life, I've had to remove a bunch of people now. That's what I've been doing as I process this, because this is like the fourth time I've tried to film a video, because I'm just so black-pilled, depressed, and angry over how things are going, that everything is spiraling downhill very rapidly and at the worst fucking time, because like I said, the economy is about to take a turn for the worse, in my opinion. I'm not an expert or psychic or anything. I'm just going based on the numbers, things I'm seeing in the market, because as I've been monitoring that, and as you know, I've through all the shit I've been through so far this year, this comes at a time when I'm trying to rebuild what I set out to do, and that's to semi-retire and try and get some enjoyment out of life. Now I'm out here serving the corporations when I'm despising what they're doing to this country and despising what they're doing to us and dividing us and conquering us. And I still firmly believe that all of this is designed to keep us at each other's throats so that we forget that we're being fucked financially. We're absolutely just all of our wealth is being siphoned off of us at an alarming rate. I just paid $18 for a combo at Chick-fil-A. It used to be $14. Like probably 3 weeks ago, I could spend $14 on what I just ate. Now it's $18. Like I wouldn't notice. Maybe you need to get that variable price thing fucking going. But anyways, I'm sorry I'm all over the place. But clearly this is affecting me mentally. But I'm done. I'm done with the left. And I know some people who are spoon-fed their information from MSNBC and CNN and all of that may be watching this and may feel inclined to correct me or repair personal relationships with me at some point. No, fuck you. All right? Nope. If you're watching this and I just described you, I am not interested. I don't want to be friends with people that fucking hate me, that want me to die. That's the impression I'm getting. And as far as I'm concerned, if you identify as a Democrat and you vote Democrat at this point, that's what you're voting for. That's what you want. And that's not just based on the morons on fucking TikTok. That's based on your mainstream politicians who you vote for and what they're doing right now, which is to spin it, try anything they can to disassociate the fact that this was a brainwashed leftist that pulled off this political violence and firing not even the first shot. This is like the third, fourth shot? I don't know. I'm losing track with all the shit going on that is directly linked to that party that continues to lie to people who apparently only consume their information either from that or from AI fucking generated memes on Facebook. I saw it in real time. I was seeing these fucking Democrats before I deleted and blocked some of them online, whom I know personally in my fucking personal life. One of them in real time was proven wrong because they thought that the old guy that that distracted the police while the real shooter got away. Remember that guy? I haven't forgotten him. It's a whole lot of coincidences going on, but I'm not trying to be all conspiracy theorist here, but there's some shit. It's not adding up properly. But in that sense, that, they were on there like they caught this guy and blah, 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 blah. And had that been the guy, guess what? Also another Democrat ideologue, deranged motherfucker doing stupid shit. Trying to take credit for it. That's what he was doing, too. Jeez. I wonder why. Why would somebody want to take credit for something like that? So, I'm upset. And I know I'm not the only one, and I know everyone is on edge right now. The right is on edge because they want justice. They want some kind of, the right definitely is taking action. The right has been mobilized. And this is why I feel like it's going to collapse faster than possible. You see, each side has their own radical factions. People that don't listen to reason anymore. Charlie Kirk was not one of them, by the way. As far, that's what happens when you paint the ist with the ist brush or the, basically you paint everybody with the ist brush, and you actually blur the lines between the real ists and the just regular people, which is Charlie Kirk was conservative, religious. I'd say more religious than conservative in some cases. But he was not threatening or advocating for anything bad to happen to people. Quite the opposite in many respects. And he wanted to come to some kind of common ground, I felt like, because I, unlike a lot of his critics, actually watched the debates he did. Many hours I've spent before all of this, and will spend, because there's some things I didn't watch. I now feel like I could honor him by at least hearing everything he had to say, and what maybe he went off the rails sometime and I missed it. I don't know. But there's lefties throwing misquotes of him around, and I'd like to be more informed than some dickhead saying, see, he's a piece of shit, and posting a half right or a taken out of context quote from a meme they probably got from some lefty fucking meme board. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the propaganda. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of the fear. I'm tired of all the bullshit. And I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. Now, what that means exactly, before anyone tries to manipulate what I'm saying, I'm just not going to listen to you as far as Democrats go. You want me to take you seriously? I'm not asking you to change your belief structure, by the way. You still believe in free shit and socialism and, all the touchy-feely bullshit, feminism and all of that kind of shit that you got going on. I have no fucking problem with any of that. Keep believing it. But make a new party and get rid of this element that you have radicalized to murder people. Take some accountability for your fuck-ups would be a good start. Maybe realize you're not on the moral high ground you think you're on. That I have personally observed but kept my mouth shut for a great many years towards the Democrats in my life. And there are quite a few. I live in New York. But I'm not holding back anymore. And I don't need you to be my friend if that's how you feel. Because we do not agree. I do not agree with someone who would celebrate what has happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't care how you feel about him, what you think he was about. He did nothing wrong. He was actively engaged in open debate in probably one of the most hostile environments that you can have an uncensored discussion in. I wonder why that is, Democrats. To where he has to have security all the time because guess what? He gets threatened all the time, as does any conservative that goes to a college campus. I wonder why that is. Could it be that you've corrupted all the educational institutions to indoctrinate and confuse and create more radicalism and weaponize it? But no, I'm not gonna censor myself around people anymore. I'm tired, you know, and hopefully they don't get violent towards me, as the left often does when you don't agree with them or support their views. I'm done with that, you know, and I will never vote blue, no matter who, by the way. I don't care who the right puts up. I will never vote Democrat. We can go back to George Bush, and I wasn't a big fan of that. Guess what? I would vote for him over any Democrat at this point. And I served under him. I've served under Bill Clinton. I remember that. Yep. No more. No more Democrats for me. Sorry. So change your ways. Become a independent, a moderate, however you want to fucking label it. And then stop voting for Democrats. That's it. That's my stance. And if you cannot do those things, then I don't want to hear a fucking word out of you, and I don't want you in my life. Period. That's my stance. And I'm not alone on this. So, now that I got that off my chest, because that's the only way I'm cranking out a video is to express my anger at what's going on. Now I want to try and give some suggestions to the right. You're already starting to use their tactics. You're already starting to use cancel culture. As a libertarian, I do not believe in cancel culture or censorship. But that's for Americans. People that believe in this country. That want a free country and a free society where we can debate open ideas. I don't have any problem with you canceling the people that brought cancel culture into this world and made it a thing for the last 10 years. To made censorship a thing. Nope. I warned y'all, the Democrats, back when they started doing it. I'm like, you're not going to like it when they do it to you. Yeah, well, guess what's happening? Oh, guess what the first thing the conservatives are doing? They're looking up people that made these garbage takes, celebrating Charlie Kirk's passing in gruesome and detestable manners, and they're getting them fired from their jobs, and they're doing all of these things, openly identifying them, using their audience or their influence to bring about these people losing their jobs. And I agree that if this keeps us from the next darker chapter, I don't have a problem with it at this point. And it goes against what I'm about. I'm about free speech. I don't like cancel culture. I don't like any of that shit. But that's the first move they're doing. However, I'm also hearing rumblings that several colleges were on lockdown, which tells me that things might get really bad really soon. And I implore the right. I know that the first shots have been fired. Don't fire back. That's what they want. We're better than that. The rest of us, not the Democrats. The rest of us are better than that. Don't use violence as the tool. Use your dollars. Use your voice. Use the economy against the people who have weaponized this. If you know a business or a company or a product is made by people who hate this country and want people to be taken out that they don't agree with, and they celebrate it, or even if they're not celebrating, even if they're just virtue signaling how great they are and they will not, and all of this sanctimonious horse shit I've heard, which is just another way of enabling this behavior and making the people that do these radical, off-the-wall crimes feel comfortable doing them, thinking that they will be a hero for their ideology or their side. Just as guilty in my book, by the way. So don't sink to their level on, don't use your voice, use your economic power, use their own cancel culture against them. Because like I said, if you wanted to give up the right to free speech when you tried to censor people you didn't agree with, and now you're trying to unalive people you don't agree with because they're exercising their free speech, you don't get to have free speech in my book. So by all means, cancel them. So, and I personally will be canceling. If I know a business is radicalized and has these garbage takes and this left-wing dogma, I will not give that business a dime of my money. If I know a business is run that way, I'll never work for them. Obviously, I won't be able to figure out exactly where because it's all integrated at this point. But I'm talking more of the ones that are easy to spot, that are openly and active, like Disney, for example. That's a no-brainer. Netflix, Amazon. All these businesses, don't give them your money. If you want the corporations, who, by the way, are behind all of this in a way, you want them to stop this shit, hit them where it hurts, and that's financial. Stop giving them your money. You want that lefty barista that decided to post an image of glorifying and saying that we need more. You want them to stop? Well, maybe they need to spend some time in the unemployment line. Or maybe the business they work for needs to go out of business. Just start being pickier where you spend your money and time. Who gets your attention? Who you give your resources to? I'd say start there and see what happens. And calm the fuck down from there. So we'll see. I'm putting this out. I realize this is not, by the way, how I want my channel to go. I know some of you like when I do political rants. I do not like them. This seriously exhausts me. I can't tell you, I was close to quitting my job this week and checking into the VA. That's how upset I was. So, as you know, I've already had an overwhelming I've been at my limit with things that I can handle due to recent events in my life. So this was I'm not well equipped to handle more bullshit right now. And this is ongoing. You know, when you watch this video, the circumstances will have evolved even more and somebody else might do something stupid. I don't know. Don't do that, because, you know, as the Utah governor said in his speech, that he hopes this doesn't become the beginning of a darker chapter in our American history, which some would argue we're already here. I don't want that, because that is not, nobody is gonna, you know, people might talk shit, but if it happens, I'm telling you, it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be, things will get bad, and I don't want that. So, you know, peaceful. Let's not sink to their level. Peaceful protests. And to be fair, from what I'm seeing, not a single city was burned to the ground, or none of this shit that the left has been doing for years and then ignoring, or somehow distancing their, or saying, oh, well, they're oppressed, so it's okay. No. Funny how the right isn't doing that. Nope, they're coming together in support and mourning at this point. And my advice to the left, aside from leaving the Democrat Party and maybe forming a new party that excludes the people you've radicalized. Too late on that, by the way. They're radicalized. You're not changing them. You gotta round up the criminals and put them in prison. That's the only thing you can do about that. That ship has sailed. And make no mistake, there's going to be more violence out of that group, because they're emboldened right now. So, and our country is now less safe, and I can feel it in the air as I'm out here, by the way. I can feel the tension in the air out here. Our country is not safe right now, and it's not stable. And this instability is going to have economic consequences, among other things. And it could just spiral out of control, and it needs to stop. Take a breath. Touch grass is the thing that the Democrats, who are particularly afraid of things right now, have been pushing out. Turn off social media for a while. I need to follow that advice. Go on a hike. Go spend time with your loved ones. Try and remember that the entire world isn't on the fucking internet. As I've said in the past, disconnecting is probably one of the healthiest things you can do right now, actually. If I can only follow my own advice as I pump out a video. So, but that's my thoughts. That's where I stand on things. No more Democrat Party. That party needs to go away. There's a Libertarian Party. We could slide in, take their place. We're very welcoming over here, as long as you leave us the fuck alone. Don't try and virtue signal to us and change our views too much. I mean, we're open to discussion, as long as you do it the way Charlie Kirk did, and not the way to that asshole with the rifle did. That's it. That's all I got. Let me know in the comments. Are you unsubscribing because I gave you my unfiltered opinion on this? You know, what do you think? I look forward to reading the comments, believe it or not. I really do want to know where people are on this, because what I'm seeing so far is not giving me a warm fuzzy. And my entire plan to be debt-free and to get out the truck and retire and all of that, I might have to put that on hold. Just step away from society for a bit. You know, that's what I'm considering, to be honest. You know, I have the ability to not participate for a while, and I might take advantage of it. But I don't want to give up. I would like the boat not to sink while I'm still in it. You know what I'm saying? I wish everybody would think that through. I will say also that I miss my friend. Throughout all the shit over the years that's gone by, Steve was someone I would hang out with and we'd have these discussions. And he'd always play devil's advocate, for things. And, but he was conservative for the most part. At least that's what he told everybody. Some of his things actually were liberal with some of the things he said and did, but he definitely put out the conservative vibe to everyone. Oh, sorry. But yeah, I do miss my friend. I feel like I'm kind of, I have my girlfriend, but as far as my friend circles, I'm kind of going at this by myself. Because I don't feel anybody that I'm that tight and close with that I can truly express myself with right now. So, just fine. Have a nice motherfucking day and shit. And let's not go down the darker road. You know, use your mouth, use your words, use your wallet, and I guess if you have to, the ballot box. It's another way of speaking your mind to the corporations. And then let's just wait and see how this plays out. Because a bunch of people are leaving the Democrat Party, to be fair. But, why now? I mean, why not all the other atrocities that have been fostered by now this is finally... Gee, I wonder why you would suddenly leave now. Might have gone too far, eh? All right. Well, I don't care as long as you change and learn from it. Because if you don't learn from it, we're just delaying the inevitable at that point. All right. I would say have a nice motherfucking day. And also that I'm not an expert, I'm just an asshole, but y'all already know that. Try and have the best day you can. And so will I.